What if I told you there was a secret formula for learning any skill you've ever dreamed of? Whether it's playing the guitar, coding a website, or speaking a new language, most of us believe that mastering something new requires a special kind of innate talent. We look at experts and think they must have been born with it. But here's the truth. That's a complete myth. The real secret isn't a magical gift, it's a system. It's a reliable, repeatable process that anyone, and I mean anyone, can follow to become remarkably good at something. It's less about genetics and more about strategy. This isn't just wishful thinking. It's backed by decades of research into how our brains actually work. The first step in this journey is to completely abandon the idea that you don't have the talent for it. This single belief is the biggest obstacle that holds people back. It gives us an easy excuse to quit when things get difficult. Instead, adopt a beginner's mindset. This means embracing the fact that you will be bad at first, and that's perfectly okay. In fact, it's a necessary part of the process. The goal isn't to be perfect from day one. The goal is to make progress. Your focus should be on the learning itself, on the small victories, and on the simple joy of getting just a little bit better each day. So where do you start? You start with what genuinely excites you. Learning a new skill takes time and effort. And if you're not genuinely interested, you're far more likely to give up when you hit a roadblock. Don't pick a skill just because it looks good on a resume, or because someone else thinks you should. Choose something that sparks a real sense of curiosity and passion within you. Does the idea of creating beautiful designs in Figma make you light up? Or maybe you've always wanted to understand the stock market. Aligning your learning with your personal goals and interests is the fuel that will keep your motivational engine running for the long haul. Once you have your skill, you need to connect it to a why. Why do you want to learn this? Is it to build a side hustle, to create something beautiful, or simply for the pure enjoyment of it? Having a clear purpose transforms the learning process from a chore into a meaningful pursuit. Now that you've chosen your skill and have a powerful why driving you, it's time to get practical. The biggest mistake beginners make is trying to swallow the entire elephant in one bite. A master pianist makes playing a concerto look effortless, but that performance is built on thousands of hours of practicing tiny individual components. The key is to deconstruct. Break down your chosen skill into the smallest possible sub-skills or building blocks. If you want to learn to code a website, for example, you don't start by thinking, build a website. You break it down into learning HTML for structure, then CSS for styling, and then maybe JavaScript for interactivity. Once you have this list of sub-skills, your next task is to identify the absolute fundamentals. This is often called applying the 80-20 principle, or Pareto's principle, to learning. The idea is that roughly 20% of the inputs, the core concepts, will give you 80% of the results. For learning a language, this might mean memorizing the 100 most common words and understanding basic sentence structure. For learning to draw, it might be mastering fundamental shapes, perspective, and shading. Focusing on the fundamentals first builds a strong foundation that will make learning everything else much easier and faster down the line. Okay, so you have your plan. Now, how do you actually practice in a way that makes things stick? This is where most people go wrong. They fall into the trap of passive learning, simply rereading notes, rewatching videos, or mindlessly repeating a motion. The most powerful technique for this is called active recall. This means forcing your brain to retrieve information without looking at the source material. Instead of rereading the definition of a term, you cover it up and try to explain it in your own words. The second part of this scientific duo is spaced repetition. Our brains are programmed to forget things over time. Spaced repetition works with this natural process, not against it. The idea is to review information at increasing intervals. You might review a new concept after 1 day, then after 3 days, then a week, and so on. Combining these techniques leads to what is known as deliberate practice. For example, instead of just playing a song on the piano for an hour, you would spend 15 minutes focusing only on one difficult passage, playing it slowly, identifying mistakes, and correcting them. In today's world, we have access to tools and resources that learners from previous generations could only dream of. Apps like Anki or Quizlet are perfect for implementing active recall and spaced repetition with digital flashcards. If you're learning a language, Duolingo or Babbel can provide interactive lessons and immediate feedback. AI tutors and chatbots like ChatGPT or Khan Academy's Khanmigo can be incredible partners on your learning journey. You can ask them to explain a complex concept in simple terms, generate practice problems for you, check your work, or even help you deconstruct a skill into smaller parts. Beyond technology, one of the most underrated resources for learning is community. Learning can sometimes feel like a lonely journey, but it doesn't have to be. There are online communities for literally any skill you can imagine. Platforms like Reddit, Discord, and Facebook have dedicated groups where beginners and experts gather. Even better than an online community is finding a mentor or an accountability partner. A mentor is someone who is a few steps ahead of you on the path and can offer guidance, point out your blind spots, and share valuable shortcuts. Mastering a skill is not a sprint, it's a marathon. The final, and perhaps most crucial piece of the puzzle, is consistency. It's far better to practice for just 15 minutes every single day than to cram for 4 hours once a week. To make this easier, try to integrate it into your existing routine. This is a concept James Clear calls habit stacking. For example, after I finish my morning coffee, I will practice my Spanish vocabulary for 10 minutes. And on days when you feel zero motivation, use the 5-minute rule. Just commit to starting for 5 minutes. As you practice consistently, you need a way to track your progress and get feedback. Tracking can be as simple as keeping a log in a notebook or a spreadsheet. For feedback, you can record yourself, whether you're speaking a language, playing an instrument, or giving a presentation, and analyze it. It's also important to understand that progress is not linear. You will hit plateaus. These are periods where you feel like you're practicing a lot, but not getting any better. When you hit a plateau, it's often a sign that you need to change your approach. The key is not to get discouraged and quit, but to see the plateau as a signal to diagnose your weaknesses and adjust your strategy. Ultimately, the real secret formula to mastering any skill is falling in love with the process itself. The joy shouldn't just be reserved for the final destination of mastery. Find happiness in the daily practice, in the small breakthroughs, and in the challenge of pushing your own boundaries. Learning is not a finite project with an endpoint. It's a lifelong journey of growth and discovery. The skills you build are amazing, but the person you become in the process, more disciplined, resilient, and curious, is the real prize. So pick that skill that excites you, embrace the beginner's mindset, and just start. The journey is the reward.